And it's just like, how do we get back to a point where black people love black people? You know what I'm saying? And our culture and our music reflects that. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Last But Not Least podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Snapasode. We got Mo in the building today.
Hello.
Your cousin KG has a sabbatical, so everything's good. Things happen in life, so we definitely want to get y'all some more content. But, you know, things happen, so we gonna press forward. We're gonna do this one for you, KG. So this is in your spirit. I hope everything's on the up and up, sir. Gotta get into the next topic. We kind of talked about it a little bit on, might have been 2 podcasts ago at this point. I think one drops today, and then another one's gonna probably drop like Tuesday or Wednesday or something like that. Music, the state of music. And I know this is generally like a relationship kind of channel, but we talk about some of everything. So music is something that's very near and dear to my heart, and it's been sucking for a while. It's been, in my opinion, it's been pretty bad. What do you believe is the state of like music, not just hip hop, but whatever genre of music you listen to now?
The state?
Yeah.
Right now, I just feel like everyone's kind of in their own mood and their own mode.
Okay.
And I feel like different generations definitely have different ears. That's what I'm going to go with, because being around, I'll say my 14-year-old niece, she has a different ear for music. Being around my dad, he has a different ear for music. And me and myself, kind of in between 30, I have a different ear for music. So I feel like it's just how you have, like, I guess, a point of view on it, and your point of view of music, and how you take heed to it. Because I started off not too much liking Young Boy.
Okay.
And I mean, still to this day, I'm not too much of a fan. But like I said, since I have a 14-year-old niece, she kind of puts me on certain perspectives.
What artist was that you said?
Young Boy.
Young Boy.
NBA Young Boy.
Never. I've heard of him.
Oh boy.
I've never heard of a record that he. I don't know if that's showing my age a little bit too much, but it's you know. I've heard of like Kodak Black. I've heard of him. I've heard a couple songs he's done.
Yeah.
But I'm real green when it comes to like new music these days. You know what I mean?
And that's how I used to be. It's no big deal, because it's like you really need to go for what you know. You know, that's definitely something that people stick to.
Right.
But since I'm really a fan of just pretty much all genres. I mean, country, rap, hip hop,
Gotcha.
everything. So a lot of people just don't like the bebop bop whatever rap. So that may be why you might not know who Young Boy. I mean, he is like what, 20? Maybe.
Gotcha. Okay.
So yeah, so we probably really wouldn't. I would not have known who he is if I wasn't around a younger crowd here and there. But I guess it helps. Like I said, it helps you look at music differently.
Gotcha. I mean, and there's no shot to him like or anything like that. But it's like so for instance, some of my favorite musical artists are those who were able to paint their stories with their words, essentially. So you got the Andre 3000s, you got J. Cole's, you got Kendrick's, you got Nas, you got Jay-Z, you got Big L. You guys, you know, when you start going back and you look at some of the layers, like the structure of rap music is something that I've always admired, right? And the ability to take a situation and to rhyme it to song and into a song structure was something that I always was like, man, that's like the amazing. And Eminem does it too. But a lot of these young guys, it's like, I don't feel like the substance is there. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't feel like a lot of times you listen to rappers in this day and age, like new age rappers, and you feel like you learn something new about them. You just kind of get more of the same. So it's more or less like, you know, hey, I got money, I got girls, I got cars, I got women. There's probably some drugs involved. End of the song. Like that's the song. And then the end of it, you know, the hook is kind of irrelevant at this point. Most of the beats and the producers sound very similar unless you get like a super producer nowadays. Like you get like a Timberland or a Pharrell, or you get like a Swiss Beats. Those have like signature sounds in it. But for the most part, it just seems like real cookie cutter. And that's not to say that good music isn't being made, but you know.
And I'll piggyback on that. So I feel like I'm not biased. So it's like they're telling their story. I look at it.
Gotcha. Okay.
And where I guess they came from and how they grew up. And I feel like sometimes it's definitely different from, I guess you would say, like your normal upbringing.
Gotcha.
So a lot of people kind of look at this situation like, why are you always talking about drugs? Well, maybe that's all they saw. Or why are you always talking about girls shaking their ass? So maybe that's all they saw. Mm-hmm. And it's not to the point where, I mean, of course you do get tired of hearing it, but it all depends on who is like ready to grow from that. Because there are some that start off like that and then something clicks or whatever, what have you, and they do grow from the being in the club and drinking and drugs and girls and all that stuff, and they actually do grow from that, but they still tell that part of the story,
right? And I can't, and that's the thing, like I'm not even though there are a lot of people who rap about things that they have not been around or things that they've kind of just seen.
Yeah.
There are some people who kind of just indulge like that, and they're more storytellers. They just kind of telling you what they've seen or, you know, a lifestyle that maybe they weren't engulfed in, but they were slightly a part of. I'm not knocking that. I do think, though, that one side of the story is being portrayed opposed to the other side of the story. So, for instance, anybody who sold drugs will tell you they got a homeboy that went to jail, somebody that got shot selling drugs, some crackhead in the neighborhood and OD. Like they're different components. I mean, I think you can keep the substance, but you can give different perspectives to the same exact topic. Like no different than like a movie. Like most movies, there's really no original ideas out here. They just change the perspective, change the characters, and make you feel a certain type of way based off somebody else's perspective. So, for example, right, like KG, he'll tell you, like when like women rappers come out, it's not like I don't like women rappers, but it's only so many times you're gonna tell me about you twerking or what you gonna do to a man and how wet you are and all this other stuff. I feel like as it pertains to women rap, there are so many other avenues that haven't even been touched that would make it so much more unique. Whereas a man couldn't even get on y'all level in that instance, you know what I'm saying? But for whatever reason, we just stick to the sexualization of what women and men, that dynamic. Like, what about what women go through on a day-to-day basis? Pregnancy, you know what I'm saying? Postpartum, you know, depression, you know what I mean? Like, it's a lot of stuff that y'all go through that I don't feel like is represented in music anymore.
Ooh. So with that, I do feel as if there's just so many opinions on, I guess, female rappers. Yes, mainly they do talk about what they can do for a man, what they have done to a man, all of those things. But at the same time, it's just kind of like that's how they grasp their audience. And that's how they know, I guess, how to boost themselves and how to get their sales. And at the same time, I do feel like there are some Jhené Aiko. She doesn't really rap, but sometimes she kind of sort of does. So Jhené Aiko, of course, you do have your Lauryn Hills, but I feel like there's always different little groups. And I guess they get talked about more, the women who, I guess, showcase their body a little more because they're more out there. They're more, you know, they don't care, but they do care, but they don't really show that they care as much. But I feel like with that, so to speak, like I say, it gets more attention. So I guess the things that get more attention, whether it's good or bad, that's something that we're always going to, I guess, showcase and see all the time. It's kind of like a lot of artists are.
You don't find that suspicious?
I don't know. A lot of good artists that can sort of be put on the back burner, but it's because they don't get that much attention. I think that's what the world we live in.
So let me ask you a question. And this came out probably a couple weeks ago. Did you see the movie They Cloned Tyrone?
I didn't watch it because of the lack. I'm kind of scared to watch it.
You scared to watch it?
Yeah, because I feel like I'm a little gullible with certain things that I may believe what's been told in the movie, because I've seen a lot of things that has been said about the movie. So I'm just like, I don't know if I want to watch it.
Okay, so spoiler alert for anybody who haven't seen it. I'm not gonna try to go into too many details or whatever like that, but I think every so often in Hollywood, right, they greenlight projects that
Hollyweird.
very Hollywood, right? I like that phrase. They greenlight projects that are symbolic, that they have like hidden messages and I think they hide more messages than what we give them credit for. But sometimes it's so blatant and so in your face, it's hard to deny it, right? They kind of did that with Get Out, similar.
Absolutely.
So They Clone Tyrone was similar to Get Out in a sense, and I'll say like, so you watch the movie, the premise is the main character is a drug dealer.
Okay.
He's going through what, would be a typical day for a drug dealer. He's checking up on who owes him money. He runs into a couple of the drug dealers, the ops, as they say. And long story short, I think it was like, I did say I wasn't going to spoil it, but I kind of got to go into a little bit. Long story short, he finds himself in a car and some of his ops roll up on him and shoot him.
Oh.
Right? Okay. Shoot him. Enough to where he ain't alive no more.
Okay.
Screen cut. He in his bed, wake up. And he's like, what just happened? Like, you know what I'm saying? Try to figure out what happened. Long story short, they were cloning him in that neighborhood. So anytime one of him died, they replaced him. And then the new him was kind of like embedded with the other one's memories through some type of system or whatever. And when it came down to it, they got to a point where they started to figure out that they had cloned him, not only him, but other people in the community. And what they found out is you have to have certain people in the communities to be able to create enough disruption to keep the masses stagnant, essentially.
Right.
So I look at that and say it's symbolic in a way because they cloned the drug dealer, they cloned the prostitute, they cloned the pimp. But the people, like, there were average people that were trying to make something of themselves. They didn't clone them. They just allowed the people on the outside to influence them to keep them stagnant. And I don't think...
Like easy target.
Right.
Okay.
And I don't think that the message is in the fact that they cloned them. I think that's the Hollywood shine that makes you kind of be like, oh, this is so far-fetched. I don't think in real life they clone us. I think they create the same exact person over and over again, right? So instead of having to clone them, maybe you had Tyrone do it today. Maybe James pulls up and now he becomes a drug dealer. And I think some of that is embedded into the music they allow us to release. Okay. Because Jhené Aiko doesn't get, in my opinion, the credit or the budget that a Megan Thee Stallion gets. And I think that all plays a part of keeping you in that position. Like the masses of like African American people, they use our culture to keep us in that box so that way they don't theoretically have to clone you, but they just create new ones. You know what I'm saying? And you hear about this stuff in like Chicago, Atlanta, New York, LA, where you got all these drug dealers out here killing each other, people that look just like them, and the second that it starts to get to suburbia, or second that, it starts to affect other communities other than ours, now it becomes an issue. So I don't know. What are your thoughts as it pertains to a bigger scheme towards what they allow to represent us on a global scale?
Ooh. So, and what?
So even if you look at like most movies, right? Like, so scary movies, right?
Right.
Isn't it ironic that we always the one that's dying in these movies?
Right.
It's almost like you don't want, like, every depiction. If you were Asian and you watched American culture and you watched the black representation of American culture, you would have an idea that we're over aggressive, we're super violent, we don't care about life, we're willing to kill each other. Not a whole lot of depictions of us being intelligent. And the ones that are intelligent, it's almost like they're telling us those are the one-offs. Like, those are the ones that are like, well, he's good, but the rest of them, not so much. So, like, how would you, like, how do you feel, or what are your thoughts on, like, systemically this being an effort to keep us subdued to a degree?
Well, I wasn't ready for this topic.
I'm sorry.
But no, you're fine. No, you're fine. I'm for it though. I just feel like it's something that has definitely been in our history for years. As if, they don't want us to grow, to come up, to be better. And I feel like that perception is something that is possible to change. Because I feel like you can change your environment. So if you change your environment, you can change the world.
Right.
A lot of people don't look at it that way. But But that, I mean, it's devastating to always have that persona of there's a good and bad with us, but mainly only bad. And for us to always be perceived as just, I guess, angry, aggressive, and sometimes I feel like we had our reasons. We had our, how do I not say, want to say,
No,
but we,
please,
but I
feel free.
mean, there's times where you want to lash out. There's times where you want to show you.
Yeah, right.
There's times, but I feel like there's always like a self-control type of thing, and you have to have like self-discipline with that as well.
Right.
And some people lack that. Some people lack self-discipline. Some people lack self-control and self-awareness.
Right.
So it's kind of like, I guess they don't want us to be controlled within ourselves, within our minds, or have that discipline to know when to do something, when to walk away, so it's something that I feel like it sucks because of how everyone sees the world and how it's always white and black, and it just hurts in a sense because I feel like our people, we all can definitely understand that sometimes it's not really meant for us to succeed, or they may think it's not meant for us to succeed, or for us to actually move forward in our lives. But it's just like we have to like look past that. Like you have to really be like, okay, like I'm self-aware of myself.
Mm-hmm.
I know that I'm able to succeed. I know I'm able to move forward. I know, but you just have to really like get out of what has been shown to you of who you really are, and you got to know who you are yourself. So
I agree.
That's just really the main thing. Like stop, kind of feeding into, because I don't watch it, but stop.
I don't either.
Stop.
I don't either.
Ooh, no.
I don't either.
So stop feeding into the things that you see, the things that you hear, and that's why it's kind of hard for me to want to actually watch, the Clone Tyrone, because I'm just kind of like, what are they really doing? Because of the whole situation of Jamie Foxx being in the hospital and comatose or whatever, what have you, and that just kind of threw me for a loop because he was, I guess it's like conspiracy type of thing. So it's just he was, I guess, in this movie, it was a animation movie, and I think he had a coma in the animation movie, and then right after that movie, he actually was in a coma, and then I guess before or after, I don't know the timelines between making like They Clone Tyrone, it's just kind of like so many messages in that. It's like sometimes I want to read into it, sometimes I want to look into certain things like that, but then I'm just kind of like, again, I can't really get too deep into certain movies and certain things that are out there because I'm like, I'm more than that, because my mind is going to go straight to, okay, yeah, he's a clone now, or that kind of crazy thing. So I'm just like, I kind of reel it back. That self-awareness. I'm like, okay.
Well, let me picture a hypothetical, and this is something that I've just kind of toyed with. You know what I'm saying? Because when I first watched the Matrix movie, like, I was young, but like it kind of threw me. It was like, wow, like, you know what I'm saying? Like the idea that we live in this simulation or whatever like that, and I kind of started looking at why I was always a kid that asked a lot of questions. I was always that bad kid that was just like, hey, why this and why that? Why do we have these expressions? Where do they come from? Like I always wanted to know the origin for a lot of things. And I looked at the movie The Matrix, and it kind of got my mind turned, and I started bubbling a little bit. And it was just like, what if, on so many different levels, there are like, people or, entities that want to aid people in the perils of their life. So for instance, when you have something like Get Out, where symbolically what they're saying is that, so many words, there are white people that look at black people and are jealous of some of the skills that we have, and if they could, they would take that from you. You know what I'm saying? Now, as far as getting a cult and actually doing a brain swap, I don't think that's the case. But when you have people who are at the top, like a Jordan Peele, who can take a story that's a simple story, and make it complex, is this like, and this is probably going down a rabbit hole, but it's like,
no, sorry,
is this people who are trying to tell the ones who will listen, hey, like, wake up, this is what they're doing to us on a bigger scale. I can't tell you directly what's going on, but I can show you a movie or a series of where they are systemically putting us in these positions and we're allowing them to do it. And I'm roping all that into the music because I feel like it all plays a part in what they allow us to hear. Because to your point, they have artists like Jhené Aiko, Elle Verner, Jill Scott. You got a lot of people who don't have the same substance as what you hear on the radio. Not to say that their music isn't as good. I think it is as good. But they make it difficult for them to get with the same producers, the same radio play, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't know. I guess to tie it into relationships and the I don't need a man movement that kind of has been like on the brink. It's like, I feel like it all like, if you on a great scale, I think it's all combined, and it's just like, how do we get back to a point where black people love black people? You know what I'm saying? And our culture and our music reflects that.
Ooh. See, I feel like it's possible, but I feel like it really is going to take a while because, like you said, you know, we are killing our own, and that's a problem. That's a huge problem. And yeah, going back to Jordan Peele, I really do feel like, you know, he's been in Hollyweird, so he knows what goes on in Hollyweird. So I feel like, yes, he is sending messages, and he's very good at it and very smart as well, so that we can grasp on and just kind of be like, you know what, we've known this for years. We've known this has been going on for time of just for so long. So it's like, you know, someone's finally actually expressing, okay, what's the other movie that he did? Let's Get Out.
Was it Up or
Up? I think it was Up.
It was the one with the twins, right?
I think it was.
They were dressed in like red or something like that.
Yeah,
I get that movie name confused all the time.
Yeah, I think it's Up or something. I think Lupita was in there too.
Yeah, she was.
So yeah, so with that being said, I just feel like more movies quite like that, and I guess, you know, The Clone Tyrone, those things will grasp onto the right audience who actually want to see, I guess, a better place, a better world. And doubling back to the I don't need a man, and I guess
talk about it.
Oh,
talk about it.
I don't know. I mean, I guess right now I'm in my mind, like, I don't need a man. I'll go to that. I feel like right now I don't.
What do you mean? It's getting juicy, y'all. It's getting juicy. What do you mean?
Because I'm right now I'm doing everything by myself, which I would not want to, but I guess I don't need the wrong man. I will say that I don't need the wrong man, like Mr. Wrong. Who is that? Who sings that song? Mary J. Blige. Yeah. So I love my Mr. Wrong. That song just throws me off. I will say, love you, Mary, but I really think that throws me off, because I feel like I've been in a lot of wrong relationships. They, you know, weren't for me. So I'm just kind of like, right now I don't really need someone. And I feel like, you know, if I'm doing everything by myself, I don't know what someone can bring to the table if I'm taking care of everything by myself. I don't know if that is that bad? Is that a bad thing?
Well, I think to your point, you don't, obviously nobody wants the wrong person. Okay, you know what I'm saying? But I think the value of a man and what men actually bring to relationships is a lost art form, if you will, because I think more often than not, it's just like women believe men are finances. And, you know, to a degree, yes, the guy that you're with should bring some financial comfort to the relationship. But if you're talking about, like, you know, what an actual man is supposed to do, if we wrote down a list of what I believe men to do, I think every woman would need a man, you know what I'm saying? In the event that, like, just say somebody break into your house, you know what I'm saying? Like, be a good time to have a man then. But at that point, it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. You know,
true. That's true.
If you're out and about, I think because we're in the Western world and we have structure, we have an infrastructure that men did build as far as like police and things like that, it makes it a lot easier for women to be able to exist without the actual need of a man next to them. But if at any point in time, like when COVID hit and the food was running short, if you didn't have a man, I mean, who house you think they're running in first? The woman without men, because obviously you can go buy a gun, but a lot of women for whatever reason don't like guns. But then they don't like men. It's like, well, they're not like men, but then they don't feel like they don't need men.
Yeah,
so
I know.
So we're a dynamic
duo. I mean, I feel like one day, that may happen to where I'll probably find my person, but I don't know. I just feel like I've been comfortable by myself for the past 3 years. I've been.
So how about you? You got one? How many kids you got?
Just one.
Just one. So how do you feel like they take it as far as like what they get or what they're not getting as far as like just growing up?
My son, well, in that perspective, I will say, okay, that's something that I would like for him to have someone around me to help him grow as a man, because I can't teach him everything because he's just, a 6-year-old child.
Mm-hmm.
So no, I can't teach him everything, but I would not want to bring someone who is not even deserving of my child. Because I feel like if you are going to be around my child, you have to really show me that you deserve to be around my child.
Right.
So one of these days, I do feel like my person will find me.
But and see, that's the thing though. Hey, if y'all, her information will be below. If y'all want to go ahead and jump in them DMs, you can. But I think I guess the concerning part that you hear like a Kevin Samuels speak, or even sometimes Andrew Tate will speak, is that a lot of women there's no sense of urgency to find that. You know what I'm saying? And what'll happen is, let's just say the person that is meant for you, let's just say he wants to have kids. You know what I'm saying? If you're within your 30s, early 30s, you're pushing towards geriatric pregnancy. So It's like, if he does want to have a kid, you're eliminating him as a possible suitor because he does, you don't. There's health concerns.
Right.
Women do die on operating tables. Right. Unfortunately, that's a real thing. So it's like, there has to be a sense of urgency on not you specifically, but women in general who look to try to find that guy, past 25. Like, you know what I'm saying? If it's going to happen, you probably want to do it sooner rather than later. And I ain't saying throw your box out there and just say who catch it, but you know what I mean? Like, you still got to be like, you're unemployed. You got to look for a job.
Right,
you know
right.
What I'm saying? Like,
and that's why I don't know, I'm kind of optimistic as well sometimes.
Okay.
So I try to, and that's really hard, but I try to kind of sort of look at someone in whatever situation they're at right now, even as a man, because I don't judge, and that could be a problem, and that's why I'm single, because I don't judge when I should. Certain times I feel like I should, certain times I feel like I should not. But
what do you mean you don't judge? Like what? I'm sure you got standards.
I know.
Mm.
So I'm just realizing, because I have a partner, and she is now about to start her podcast soon, and she wants me to help out as well. But she
need to come on the Last But Not Least podcast whenever.
But she's engaged, and she's a beautiful woman, Asia Mays.
Shout out to you.
Shout out to Asia. So she kind of just told me that I don't have standards, and I didn't have boundaries and all that, because I was telling her about, I guess, my past relationships and whatnot and what have you, and kind of sort of like not trying to judge someone from where they come from and where they're at and all of that. So if someone didn't have a car, I wouldn't mind. I'll take you to work. If you need help going to work, I'll take you to work every day. Or
every day. You do that every day in there too.
And if you didn't have anywhere to stay, you could. I'm not gonna put my business out there. Let me stop. So I just didn't judge. I just didn't judge, and I found out that I did not really have standards, and because of the people that I was talking to, I guess didn't really put their priorities first and their responsibilities first. And I was just thinking, it's just been a hard time. It's just a hard time. Times are hard. And no, I'm just thinking like, you're a grown man.
Mm-hmm.
You should, now I'm thinking, let me say this. Now I'm thinking, no, you're a grown man. So you have to find a way in order to get a better job so that you can provide the lifestyle that you actually want and not depend on a woman. Yes, a woman is supposed to be there to be, I guess, your confidant, your other half, whatever. But I do look at relationships as 50-50, or, when times get hard, of course the percentage does change, but I feel like it's always been like a 90-10 with me.
Well, I'll say this, right? I think it's fair to judge people on the decisions that they have made, not necessarily the circumstances that they were born into, right?
Okay.
So if you have somebody who was born and they didn't have, you know, certain guidance or certain, you know what I'm saying? Like when you're talking about somebody who's, you know, between the ages of, you know, an infant up to like 14, 15, 16, I kind of give you the benefit of the doubt on the things that you did or don't know, because obviously you had no control over it. But as an adult, as a man, when you start getting into your, you know, 24, 25, I mean, dude, certain things should be like a given, like, you know, a base point, you know what I'm saying? Because you should have the understanding of what it is to be a man. Like, you know, the car thing, it's only important because to me it limits how much money you can make. It also increases how much time you're on public transit trying to go back and forth. So how can you maximize the amount of money you make if you're spending 4 or 5 hours on MARTA every day? You know what I'm saying? That's problematic.
Right.
And if you're talking about like, you know, what job are you catching a bus to? Now we open up a whole nother can of worms. You know what I'm saying? Are you catching your bus to Amazon or where they're paying $15, $16 an hour? You're bringing your lunch. So it's like, it's all these things to try to maximize the amount of money you make. On the flip side, I do believe we've kind of got to a point where, because Instagram and social media is in everybody's phone in this day and age, I believe like it's so boisterous that people believe that they have to always be doing something. And they always have to show people that they're doing something. I think a guy who makes $40,000 can actually have a pretty decent lifestyle. You know what I'm saying?
Provided frugal, if you're frugal enough, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, but so if you ask yourself, so what would a good relationship look like? You know what I'm saying? Like what type of things do you want to do? You want to go on a date, obviously. You probably want to go traveling and things like that. How much does that actually cost? How efficient is he with the money that he makes? And does he create these opportunities where you feel special? But before you get to all that, is he loyal? Like that's the first thing. Like is he something that, are you something that he's just doing now, or is he somebody that wants to be with you long term? That's the hardest thing to find out. You know what I'm saying? For a lot of women. And when you usually find it out, it's probably too late. Like you've already invested, you know, a year, 2 years, 3 years. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. It's definitely weird, but I definitely feel like there has to be like some sense of urgency.
Yeah. And like I said, now I think that's kind of sort of why I'm like waking up and thinking like, okay, gotta talk to somebody with some depth type of thing.
Gotcha.
And I think I've been missing that little box to check off. Haven't really found someone with depth. So
message.
And that's something that I guess when it doubles back to self-awareness, like type of thing, because I don't think I was self-aware of a lot of things that I may have brought to the table. And I'm just kind of thinking like, you know, why am I allowing so much? And what type of person am I saying? Like, am I gullible? Or am I just, I don't know. I won't say that I wasn't smart, but I wasn't making smart decisions, I'll say.
Let me ask you a question. Do you know what qualities in a man are beneficial? Like I think, and I ask that in a real way because I think a lot of times women don't like, so for instance, right, your car breaks down.
Okay.
Do you mess with guys that know how to fix his car? Or do they just say, that's messed up, figure it out? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's one of those, you feel me? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
see, and it's crazy because like, I'm a daddy's girl.
Okay.
So I feel like even if I've been with someone who, and I shouldn't, but even if I've been with someone who doesn't really know how to fix a car, I'm just like, Dad, so,
And your dad never says, hey, that nigga you talking to don't know how to fix it? Because that'd be my first thing. It's like, okay, I got you, but I need you to start looking for men who can benefit you in ways, because dad ain't going to be here forever.
I know. And he just, I will say, he has started to kind of be like, I thought you were kind of dating. I thought you were talking to such and such and such and such. Like, why? He was like, why can't you call him? Like, why are you talking to him if he can't come to your beck and call? And I was like, oh, you got a point. Oh, shoot, you got a point. So after that, it got me to a point where I'm like, okay, I need to set some standards and have boundaries and understand that, you know, it's not all about just having fun and partying with people, and like doubles back. Do you need some depth? Like, I need to know, like, why are you here?
Right.
What? How can I benefit from you, and how can you benefit from me?
Exactly.
So I think that's where I'm at. Finally, that's where I'm at.
But and it's, I don't think you're the only, and I'm glad we're on this topic, because I don't think you're not the only person. Because generally, if I have conversations with folks, that's like the first thing I ask is like, I know a lot of women be like, I don't need no man, but it's just like, what kind of men have you been around? Because to call somebody up and just be like, hey, this happened to my car, and they pull up Jimmy on the spot and be like, okay, this is what's wrong with your car. That is like invaluable if you got places to be. If you got to go back and forth, you can't put a price tag on that. Or the water start leaking in the kitchen. Instead of calling a plumber, you could just nudge the dude you next to him and be like, hey, man, go check that out. And instead of being a goofball and being like, oh, I don't know, I guess we got to pay somebody. He can actually figure it out. Part of being a man to me is understanding a problem and finding a solution. And it's not always about who I can call to figure that out. And that's one thing that I got from like growing up around my grandfather, because he was like my father figure in my life or whatever. And he fixed whatever he could, you know what I'm saying? And now he passed in like 2008, but my mentality is the same. The only difference is, instead of calling him on, have you fixed this before? Now it's like, let me get on Google and see if there's a tutorial. If I can get a general sense of how to do something, I'll try it myself, as long as I know I ain't gonna fuck something up too far so it's gonna cost me more money. I'm gonna do it myself. And that's where it comes into like, you have to make yourself an asset and not a liability. And a lot of these dudes are liabilities.
Message.
And it's tough, but let's keep it a spade. Like, I think we've got to a point where a lot of guys may be physically attractive, but they don't bring anything past the physical to
And that's a lot of things when it comes to women too. Like, a lot of women kind of sort of may think that, oh, I look good, or I got the best body that I bought, so I know he's gonna want me, or I know he's gonna want this or whatever. But it's just kind of like, what other qualities do you have?
Facts.
Like, besides having a pretty face, besides having a pretty body, besides having a thing or pretty hair or what have you. So it's just kind of like, I mean, not saying like, oh, can you cook, can you clean? Because that just grinds my gears. Somebody's just like, can you cook, can you clean? But I mean, yeah, that intertwines with it as well. Like cooking and cleaning, that helps. But there's other things like a man may need a woman for, other than just being pretty, other than just being like arm candy or a trophy. So
definitely
that comes with, women can be liabilities as well. I don't think.
Well, yeah, I mean, you in a 90-10 situation. Of course, you're not a liability. I mean, but
ooh,
no, I mean, that was no shade. I'm just saying, like, you're doing so much.
Hot day.
You're doing so much. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it would behoove you and your son for you to take on less. Like, you know what I'm saying? To share those responsibilities with somebody. And I'm sure your dad would love it if you got a guy.
You're tired of me.
I mean, like, that knew something. Damn, can he tie his shoe? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is they wearing flip-flops every day? Like, what's going on?
Oh,
like,
God.
So, I think if you get with somebody, his life should get easier, your life should get easier.
Right.
Not just on the companionship tip, because the sex thing is gonna come. That's like automatic. But it's like, come on, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, when it comes to like instant cutting grass, like, dang, you gotta call somebody to cut your grass. You ain't even got a dude that can go out there and cut your grass for you, but he laying up next to you. Come on, bro. Like, you got to get out there and show that you worth something. You know what I mean? I don't have enough time in a show to tell you like the list of things that, on a monthly basis that a guy has to do. And it's kind of blows my mind when I think that some females don't get that. Like, y'all got guys out here that, they just sex toys, you know what I'm saying, to y'all. And then they get up and leave. And it's like, you got to struggle with all this other stuff. What about, helping the kid with the homework, you know what I'm saying? Like, being PTO meetings, sports at 6 years old.
That's important.
He's going to either want to get into sports or he's going to be...
he has been. He plays soccer, football, basketball, baseball, everything. He plays everything.
Yeah.
He don't play, but he plays.
but you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a father would have a vetted interest in seeing their son be successful in sports to some degree. So even if that's just taking them in the backyard and playing a little basketball with them, showing them a little technique. These are the things that just women just, naturally, that's not, generally speaking, it's not their lane unless you're You
I'm
former
athletic.
cheerleader.
Yeah, I'm athletic. So I mean, like whenever he wants to play outside and play football, soccer, we tussle.
Gotcha.
So I don't play that. Like I'm raising a boy.
Gotcha.
So
he's
he's
trying to bulk up a little bit on me.
Right. Cause I mean, like I said, it's really just me. So it's like whatever he wants to do, I do it with him. So, but having somebody sounds nice, but I feel
even
like,
the way you just said that, I didn't believe that at all. Did y'all believe that? Having somebody sound, it's nice, you know?
Because, I mean, I feel like, okay, right now, I feel like I'm just traumatized. You know?
I got you.
So I can grow from this trauma. I know that I can, but I feel like it's been, I mean, I don't know. I guess I've been dating since I was 16. And I feel like maybe I had one person, but I had one person that was really, really good. He was a good person. But, you know, I guess we were young. I was like 17 and he wanted to get married. And I was just kind of like, what?
I mean,
what?
At 16, 17.
Yeah.
That's
so I was just like, you know, I'm not ready. And I feel like ever since then, I've kind of sort of been like laughed at. And I'm just like, this is crazy. So I feel like, should I have gotten married at 17? What's going on? So I feel like I'm traumatized from, I guess, not getting married at 17 and kind of going through the motions that I have been with dating since 17 till now. And I'm just kind of like, well, maybe I just need to be alone for a minute and figure out, you know, who I am, where I'm going, what I'm trying to do, and try to better myself as a woman first. And then I'll probably date again and figure out, you know, that lifestyle.
So, and I know we gotta close the show, but I kind of want to leave you with this thought, right?
All right.
Have you ever had a job that you felt like you didn't need?
Absolutely.
How did you treat that job? I showed up late, left early, lackluster performance.
Absolutely, yeah.
Did just enough to get a paycheck.
Just enough, bare minimum.
If you apply that same mentality, and I would think it applies, when you have something that you really don't believe that you need, you don't really put your all into it.
Oh.
So if you believe like I kind of want a guy, but I don't necessarily need a guy, I feel like that comes out in your performance, if you will. Not to say that a relationship should be a performance, but I don't know if you can really put your best foot forward if you believe in your heart of hearts that you don't really need it. Why am I going through this? I don't got to listen to you. I don't need you. And y'all know my sisters. Y'all say that. Ooh. Y'all say that all the time.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
Yeah, that's an actual quote from myself. So yeah.
See what I'm saying? So, oh man, we gotta get you back on. And when Cousin KG get back, we gotta get you back on and get a couple episodes, man. So this was a good conversation.
Great conversation.
Go watch They Clone Tyrone.
Oh God,
go watch it. If y'all haven't watched it at home, go watch it. And you might have to watch it more than once to get like all the messaging in it. But I think it's definitely like one of those whistleblower movies where it's like it's gonna touch the people I think that want to do right. You know what I mean?
Okay. So what do you give it? Like, what do you rate the movie? Out of 10.
Out of 10?
Yeah.
I'd say it's probably, if I'm being critical, it's a 9. Mm-hmm. It's a 9.
Okay.
It's a 9. The acting was very good. The cinematography. I went to school for film, so I kind of like, cool. I divided a little bit different than probably the average viewer or whatever like that. But I think as best as you can, they had a story, they delivered it, and you know, it closed the loops as well, which is a big thing for me. You know how you have certain aspects of a movie that you get to the end of the movie and it's like, well, whatever happened to such and such, or why that didn't even make sense. They did a pretty good job at closing the loop to make as much of that movie make sense at the end of it. So yeah, they did pretty good on that. Shout out to Netflix.
Shout out to Netflix.
Yeah.
Hey, Netflix.
Y'all been doing y'all thing. Hey, if y'all want to cut me a check for anything, just hit. I'm gonna put my information below. Let me know. But yeah, definitely. We gonna get a movie. We gonna try to get on Tubi too. Tubi don't have a lot of restrictions for their movies.
Okay.
They let you do pretty much anything. So we working on a script for Tubi.
Okay.
I ain't saying it's gonna be good, but we gonna try to get it on Tubi.
I'm down. I'm down. Okay.
Oh man.
Hey.
But man, this has been great, man. We gonna go ahead and sign off. It's your boy, Mr. Snapasode. We out of here.
All right.